go see her first love. The woman forgot the soup on the stove was still on. Then she left with her best friend and her first love. However, danger was about to strike. The kitchen suddenly caught fire. The husband immediately took his mother-in-law and daughter out of the house, but found the door locked from the inside by his wife. The husband called for help. She cursed at him, then hung up and ignored him, causing her own mother and daughter to be trapped in the fire. They were seriously injured and taken to the emergency room. The doctor told the husband he needed immediate surgery and asked him to pay the fees right away. The husband had no money. All the money was with his wife. He could only desperately call her phone. But on the other end, the woman was having a great time with her friends. Her friends kept pushing him to get angry, saying her husband was a useless man who couldn't take care of himself, who always checked up on her like a ghost, and if they had been with someone else, they would have kicked such a man out long ago. Under this mental manipulation, the woman's hatred for her husband reached its peak. When she finally answered the phone, she exploded when hearing her husband needed 200,000 yuan for life-saving money. She scolded her husband for trying to make her sick, even coming up with an excuse that her mother and child were hospitalized. No matter how the husband explained, she refused to believe it. She thought it was her husband making trouble. She hung up the phone, then continued to play happily, not knowing her own mother and daughter were lying on the operating table waiting for money to save their lives. Desperate, the husband took a photo of the hospital payment window, but his toxic best friend immediately stopped him, saying there are many such photos online. This must be a fake picture made by her husband to get money. In desperation, the husband asked the nurse to call and explain, but the one who answered was his wife's best friend. They not only laughed at the husband for acting, but even brought the phone to the door of the room, letting the husband hear for himself. His wife was flirting with her ex-boyfriend inside. As the operation time passed second by second, the husband had no choice but to lower his dignity and call all his relatives and friends for loans. But the money he borrowed was still far from enough. Just when he saw his wife's social media post, which showed her location at a nearby mahjong house, he ran there madly, grabbed his wife's hand, begged her to take the money out to save her mother and daughter, but his wife just handed over a bank card, saying if he took the money, he would have to leave the house without anything to save his wife's mother and daughter. The husband immediately agreed, but his wife wanted to prove her husband was being unreasonable, so she decided to go to the hospital with him to expose this act on the spot. At that moment, the husband met his aunt who had come to the hospital. Seeing the time was running out, he didn't even bother to explain, grabbed the card and rushed into the hospital to pay, while the wife took the chance to play the voice message her daughter sent before the fire. This made the aunt start doubting. The wife was more certain than ever that her husband was trying to get money before the divorce and was fooling everyone around. He called the bank in front of everyone, frozen the only life-saving card. As expected, at the payment counter, the husband's bank card showed as invalid. He looked at the text message from the bank about the frozen card and was stunned. He ran out of the hospital, confronted his wife who was preparing to leave, but at that moment, the nurse came running to tell him, because they missed the best time for treatment. It was too late. His mother-in-law used her last bit of strength to make a will, leaving all her property to her son-in-law and disowning her ungrateful daughter. The husband cried as he sent his mother-in-law off, then received news that his daughter was also in critical condition. He held back his sorrow, called his wife for the last time, telling her that his mother had passed away and his daughter was also dying. But when the wife heard this, her first reaction was to curse her